Bye.
So, Shugila, this is your Heart Sutra. It's like you have the power to decide. You're the boss, the big boss.
It's all
inherited
a tradition that was established
a long time ago. We have a king of prayer and then a queen of prayer. You're the queen of prayer.
Oh, I see. No, we can do obeisance. We can do either.
Well, you're the boss. You decide.
We did, we'll do Heart Sutra because we did obeisance yesterday afternoon. I remember the comment. That's how I remember what to do this morning.
According to my naughtiness. All right. So we still have, I think, half a minute. So we'll wait for half a minute. No worries. I can try to entertain you in the time that we have left. Recall to this computer. So did you say the Heart Sutra? I'll put the prayer in the Heart Sutra. It's not this, sorry. All right, Heart Sutra. Triple Jen. That's it. Here at one time, the Bhagavan was absorbed together with a great community of monks and a great disciples. The Bhagavan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perception. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara looked upon the prayer practice of the profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara: how should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra: Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon like this, correctly and repeatedly, beholding those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, composition of factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness without characteristic. Unceased, stainless, not without stains, not deficient, not filled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no composition of factors, no consciousness. No eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon.
There is no I element.
And so up to including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to including no aging and death, and not aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, Bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in perfection of wisdom, mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of Nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell on the three times also manifestly completely awaken to the unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequal, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering should be known as a truth which is not false. Of the perfection of wisdom is declared, Taya ta om gate gate paragate para samgate bodhisattva. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration, commended the Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage, it is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan, having thus spoken with Venerable Shalavari Putra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, and those surrounding in their entirety, along with the worlds, humans, asuras, and Gandhavas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. Sangye chodatsoki chonamla chanchu badu dani kyapsuchi dagi chuchugi betsonangi drola penchi sangye dropasho chodatsoki chonamla chanchu badu dani kyapsuchi dagi chuchugi betsonangi drola penchi sangye dropasho chodatsoki chonamla chanchu badu dani kyapsuchi dagi chuchugi betsonangi Dola penchi sangye dopasho. Hi. So good afternoon. How are you doing? Are you people at home doing? I guess that you're doing okay. What I thought of doing today was to maybe just look at one more point from the last chapter, from chapter number 1, which explains the benefit of bodhicitta, and then to go into, today I thought of in the afternoon session to speak about the 6 preparatory practices and the 7 limbs of worship. Did you do it? Sorry? All right. Sorry? Okay. Sorry?
It's okay, I'm just looking for my note.
For your notebook, all right. There is a notebook here. Yeah. Sorry, I hid it from you. All right, so I thought of speaking about the 6 preparatory practices and then the 7 limbs of worship, because the second and third chapters follow the 7 limbs of worship as a practice that prepares the mind for the taking up of the mind of enlightenment. So just to, in the previous chapter, we looked at chapter number 1, we looked at the benefits of the engaging mind of enlightenment. So we can look at the benefits of bodhicitta in general, but specifically the benefits of the engaging mind of enlightenment. So I also had a look at Khenpo Kunpen's commentary, and he spoke about the extensiveness of the merit and the virtue that you accumulate through developing bodhicitta. And he said that altogether you can look at it from different perspectives. I'll put it on the screen. Where is it? It's probably here. Yeah. So he spoke about in relation to why bodhisattvas become great benefactors, or they're regarded as great benefactors. I think that is related to verse 134, right? Remember that in verse 134, it says, the Buddha has said that someone who generates an evil thought against such a benefactor as a child of the victors will remain in hell for as many eons as there were evil thoughts. And then the next verse gives us the opposite scenario. But if one acts out of an attitude of faith, its fruits will multiply far more than that. Even in adversity, the children of the victors generate non-negativity. Instead, the virtues naturally increase. So Khenpo Nankapal says that bodhisattvas are regarded as great benefactors, right? They're great benefactors of sentient beings, because first they give gifts to innumerable beings that extend to the limits of space. So I guess that in giving gifts to innumerable, uncountable sentient beings would be mainly in relation to the Dharma, right? Of course, bodhisattvas act for the sake of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas act for the sake of sentient beings in a variety of ways, but the main way of enacting the welfare of others is teaching them the Dharma, right? So they do that to innumerable sentient beings. So that's one perspective. They're great benefactors because of giving gifts to innumerable sentient beings. So they do that for a long time till samsara ends. Right? So from the point of view of period, they're also great benefactors. Then they give the superior bliss of the Sugatas, which means that Bodhisattvas, Buddhas, we can also include within that Buddhas. So Buddhas and Bodhisattvas teach sentient beings how to become enlightened. So they give the gift of the great bliss of the Buddhas. Then the last point that he mentions is, actually mentions two more points. They do so not with a poor gesture or body language, but with a peaceful and respectful manner. And also they fulfill the individual wishes of sentient beings. Wishes, of course, pertaining mainly to either high states of existence or the state of liberation or the state of omniscience, but also anything that relates to those areas. Everything that sentient beings need and want, not only in terms of those goals, but I guess it also in their everyday life, providing medicine, food, and so forth, then bodhisattvas are regarded as great benefactors. So we can also infer from that the merit of the engaging man of enlightenment, in that, if bodhisattvas are such great benefactors because the duration of time they work for, because the number of sentient beings that they take care of, because providing them with whatever they want and need, because they provide them with the bliss of the Buddhas, because all of that, you can say that there is uninterrupted flow of merit that accrue even while being asleep, or even while being unconscientious or reckless. So therefore it is said that if you get angry at the bodhisattva and then you act again against the bodhisattva, right? So not only you get angry at the bodhisattva, but either you disparage them, you criticize the bodhisattva, you create a divisive attitude between bodhisattvas and the people that they help. You can also harm or undermine bodhisattvas physically. If you do all those different things, it's considered to be a great negativity, because although you might have harmed that bodhisattva directly, but indirectly you have undermined the welfare of sentient beings. If bodhisattvas work so greatly for the sake of sentient beings, and then you impede the work for the sake of others, right? So you discredit them, or you create obstacles for the work for others, then others will stand to lose. If they lose heart, if they lose faith, if they cannot receive teachings from bodhisattvas and so forth, then harming a bodhisattva means that you harm the welfare of other living beings. And for that's one of the reasons why it's considered to be such a grave negativity. It's, in a similar way, you can say that you develop the mind of enlightenment, then you can also make a commitment to attain the state of enlightenment for the welfare of others, and then on top of that, take the engaging vow. If you then decide to relinquish the mind of enlightenment, it's considered to be a grave negativity. It's considered to be a great negativity from different perspectives. One of them is that you've made a promise in the presence of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So you've made a promise and then you turn back on your promise. So it's tantamount to lying to them. So that's one reason. But another reason is that not only you've made a promise to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, but when you take upon yourself the Bodhisattva vow, you need to think that you're surrounded by all other living beings, right? And you are promising to them that you're going to work for their sake. You're going to attain enlightenment for their sake in order to liberate them from suffering. So relinquishing the mind of enlightenment would also be deceiving this great number of beings. That's another reason why it's considered to be a grave negativity. Anyway, so those are the things that I wanted to mention at the beginning of this session. in relation to the previous chapters. Any questions here or people at home?
So, is that in relation to chapter 1 or chapter 2, what you just told us?
In relation to chapter 1.
Chapter 1.
Yeah. Yeah. So in relation to chapter 1, I started from verse 34, 35. All right. So then when we look at chapter 2 and chapter 3, chapter 1 to 3, actually, when we look at them in general, we said that they are related to generating the mind of enlightenment if it hasn't been generated yet, right? When the precious body mind not yet rise, arise and grow, not yet born, arise and grow. So chapter number 1, you build up your enthusiasm in taking up the mind of enlightenment and engaging vow. You're gearing yourself up. Then that's chapter number 1. Chapter number 2, you're in chapter number 3, halfway through, you're starting to prepare your mind for taking up the mind of enlightenment and taking the vow. So in order to prepare your mind to it, you practice the 7 limbs of worship. So the seven limbs of worship, so the 7 limbs in general, are a practice that allows you to accumulate merit, or you can also accumulate wisdom, right? So you accumulate the collections, and you also purify negativities and obscurations in order to be able to take upon yourself the mind of enlightenment and the vow, right? In order for the process to be successful. Geshe Jamyang used to say that, no, our mind is full of garbage. So you want to make space for the mind of enlightenment. If you don't take up the garbage, you will not be able to put something new in your mind, right? So first of all, we clean it up, but we also prepare it, we decorate it, we arrange it in a beautiful way so that the mind of enlightenment can arise. So this is what we do with the 7 limbs. But if we look at Shantideva's guide as a meditation manual, not just a text that we study, but it's actually a meditation manual for bodhicitta, then you can take it up whenever you have time at home and use those verses in order to daily take upon yourself the mind of enlightenment, to generate the mind of enlightenment, and also take upon yourself the Bodhisattva vow. So if you do it like that, you use it as a meditation manual, then it's good to structure it as in a proper meditation session, right? So when Lama Tsongkhapa explains the meditation session, how to do one's meditation session in his Lamrim Chemo, in the first volume, I think that it's page 94, he explains what to do before the meditation. So he says, you sit for you first of all make preparation, the 6 preparatory practices, and then you go into the actual meditation session. So I guess that some of you have heard about the 6 preparatory practices. You have heard the terms. Maybe you don't remember all the items inside, but so let's just make sure that we list all the things that you do in order to build up your practice properly. Can anyone tell me what's the first thing that you do within the 6 preparatory practice? If you don't remember, that's also okay. Don't feel stressed.
I guess it would be like
Cleaning, yeah.
cleaning. That's what I was going to say.
That's good. So Chris and Paul and Dechen are working in synchronicity. So, but there's not only cleaning, there's another thing that we do.
I guess I always take refuge first.
So that's coming later. So we clean, at home it's funny, you can say that you clean, basically you would clean your room daily. I don't do it daily, but you arrange it nicely to, for your meditation session, and you also need to it says that you also need to arrange representations of body, speech, and mind, which means that you build an altar. Basically, you have, if you have a Buddha statue or a picture or a tanka, that's the representation of body. If you have a text also to put on the altar, that's a representation of speech. if you have a stupa, that's a representation of mind, right? So for us, we want to develop those enlightened qualities of body, speech, and mind. We also pay homage to those enlightened qualities of body, speech, and mind. With our body, speech, and mind, we go for refuge and so forth. So these three things, a statue, a text, and a stupa, for us represent the qualities of body, speech, and mind. So we arrange for them if we have them. And then, of course, we would then next, that's the second of the preparatory practices, we arrange offerings. Now, in Lama Tsongkhapa's text, it says that you need to, first of all, obtain offerings without deceit, which means that the offerings, and also without, yes, I can remember the snake skin. Yeah, I did have a snake skin under my bed, under my mattress, but I guess unfortunately, when I arrange for my altar, I don't check under my mattress. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, so you arrange offerings with that are not connected with wrong livelihood, which means that you haven't borrowed them unwillingly from another person. You haven't abused someone in order to get them. You haven't cheated others in order to get them. And also the way that you arrange them is without pretense or guile, in the sense that it's not that you arrange them in order for others to give you high five and say that you're awesome in arranging offerings. You do it because you want to make offerings that are beautiful. And I think the Geshe today summarized it in a really nice way. So that kind of you're inviting someone that is important. He didn't say it like that, but he says that you want to offer the best of the best. If you have it, you offer the best of your best. You don't offer things that you do not want. You don't offer things that you do not need. It's not like, I'm not going to use it, so I'm going to offer it to the Buddha. You offer whatever you can, which is, I think that, at least I find that for people that come from our background, probably I can say a non-Asian background, it's harder to really have this mind that kind of wants to offer the best of the best. Whenever I go to Taiwan or to China and hang out with my Chinese friends, they're really inspiring, in a sense that kind of they really know not only how to give the best of the best when they offer, but also how to zhuzh everything up. The arrangement is beautiful. There's no like a lot of intellectuality that goes into that. Sometimes we come up with those questions, but can I put it here or can I put it there? And what did I offer this and what did I offer that? There's not that holding back or a lot of kind of intellectualizing it. Just kind of, if you have something, offer it. If it's the best, offer it. If you can, offer more.
Well, and I think have good attention to detail.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know. That's what we're so pleased to have him showing.
Yeah. Thank you very much for zhuzhing up our offerings, Tring. No, it's really kind of, I really find it, kind of really inspiring when you look at how, particularly kind of my Taiwanese friends come up with those amazing creations for making offerings, like beautiful flowers arrangements and different tricks with lights and candles. Pretty amazing. Anyway, second thing, arranging offerings. I guess probably, would you say that it's part of Asian culture, kind of arranging that beautifully, or am I kind of generalizing it? Yeah, since young you were taught like that. So anyway, kind of, even though I've been in the business for, for 20, the Buddhist business for 20 odd years, I'm still kind of quite a baby in terms of knowing how to create like this beautiful and sincere offering procedures. Lama Zopa Rinpoche is also like, a king, the king of offering. Anyway, so we have the second limb, which is making offerings. The third one is sitting down in a comfortable and in a comfortable and suitable posture. So whatever works for you guys, it's good. There's often you have an explanation of the 7-point Vajrayana posture, but whatever works for you in terms of maintaining a comfortable posture. And then the fourth one is Does anyone remember what's the fourth one? The fourth preparatory practice? Refuge. Before that, actually, we invite the field of accumulation. So we visualize then the beings in the field of accumulation in front of us, and that's particularly important for taking up the Bodhisattva vow, generating bodhicitta, and taking up the Bodhisattva vow, because maybe Geshe-la will lead a ceremony for doing that when we get to chapter number 3. I'm not sure. Maybe you guys have to ask him. I'm not telling you to ask him, but if you. Okay.
So I think after today, Geshe-la's instructions about offerings, I think we can again discuss.
Okay. Cool.
What was the wording you just used? Visualize. Sorry, my translation's up there.
The field of accumulation.
Field of accumulation.
Yeah. So so the field of accumulation. So normally when you take the Bodhisattva vow, you visualize in the space in front of you all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions. Well, you can visualize it in a variety of ways. So maybe we can ask Geshe-la what is the way that you would visualize it. But normally it is said that you invite to the space in front of you the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions. Also, of course, you have also the master that gives you the vow for the first time, if you're going to do it with the master. But at home, later on, when you do your own daily meditation, when you develop bodhicitta, when you take up the Bodhisattva vow, you visualize that they're in front of you, and you visualize that they're leading you through the recitation of taking up the vow. Just all the Buddhas of the past have developed the thought of enlightenment, true bodhicitta, and the practice stage of gradual development, blah, 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 blah. So may I too, for the sake of being, develop bodhicitta and follow the training exactly as all bodhisattvas have done, right? So you visualize that actually they're saying the words and you're repeating after them. So you've arranged the altar with amazing offerings, and they know the offerings are made for them. So,
When did we do the cleaning?
Sorry?
When did we do the cleaning?
That's the first. So cleaning.
So we're up to 4.
Now, yeah. So one was cleaning and arranging your altar. Yeah. No, cleaning and arranging are together in point number 1. So cleaning the place and arranging representations, that's the first thing that you do. That's the first preliminary practice. Then the second is arranging offering. The third is sitting down or standing up on one leg, if it works for you.
They actually say preparing the seat as part of that as well.
Preparing your seat in what way?
Getting your cushion.
Yeah. Okay. Preparing your seat. And then the fourth one is visualizing the field of accumulation. So I guess that it depends on also what practice you do, like in a sense that if you're doing it as just as a separate practice, taking up the Bodhisattva vow, then you visualize the field of accumulation in a particular way. But you can also link it up with other practices that you do. Like, for example, if you do the 6-session Guru Yoga, where at some point, you have invited Vajradhara to the space in front of you. Then in the second and third time that you're reciting the 6-session Guru Yoga, in your field of accumulation, you also have Guru Vajradhara. Or, if you're doing it, you can do it also as part of the Guru Puja, if you do it as a daily recitation. Or you can have other deity practices that you do. And even if it's not explicitly there in the practice, if you know where to insert it into the practice, you can still do it in the appropriate place and time. So that's the fourth one, visualizing the field of accumulation. And then the fifth stage is practicing the 7 limbs of worship. And the sixth one would be offering a mandala to the field of accumulation. So altogether, the 6 preparatory practices lead you to the actual practice. Now, within the 6 preparatory practices, the fifth one is the 7 limbs of worship. So let's just run quickly through the 7 limbs, right? We had 6 preparatory sections. Now we have the 7 limbs. The first one is normally given as obeisance, so prostrations, paying homage, right? So the word in Tibetan is chaktsel, chaktsewa, but chaktsewa, we can translate it in different ways. So physically, it's bowing down, doing it in different ways, or you can also just pressing your palms together. But also you can have a verbal one in which you speak of the qualities, you appreciate the qualities of what you're respecting. And then mentally, you're also venerating the qualities, you have faith in the qualities and so forth. So altogether, it's obeisance.
Page 31, people want to refer to just the one.
In the
Retreat book, yeah.
retreat book.
If they want to refer
Page 31.
to just the simple form.
Okay, 7 limb prayers. So, so first of all, you have prostration. So in our prayer book, this one, the FBMT one. So this first one says, I prostrate reverently with my body, speech, and mind. The second one is making offerings. I present clouds of every type of offerings, both actually arranged and mentally emanated. So today, we started to speak of making offerings, right? So it says here, I present clouds of every type of offerings, both actually arranged and mentally transformed. That's the second limb. The third one is confessing negativities or laying them down. It's interesting, the word in that we normally use in English is confessing or purifying. But in Tibetan language, there is a variety of ways of expressing that. So in English, confessing has that connotation of disclosing it, right? So you express it. So this is part of purifying negativities, laying down negativities in Tibetan. Confession is only one part of it. But another part of it is then, in some sense, you can say that you lay it all bare. You lay everything down. And you also think that henceforth, I will not do that in the future. So it's not just confession, it's the whole process of just laying everything down, getting rid of your negativities. So that's the third limb.
Does it include the 4 opponents?
Yeah, it has to include the 4 opponent powers. And I'm saying that because just after we run through the 7 limbs, I'm going to look at the outline. We're going to look at the outline, not only me, but all of us are going to look at the outline and look at how the 7 limbs are found in chapter number 2 and chapter number 3, just so that we'll have kind of just, I guess, mind map of where we're going with it, with those 2 chapters. So the third one says, I confess all my negative actions and downfalls collected from beginningless time. Then the 4th one is rejoicing. So I rejoice in the virtues of ordinary beings and Aryas. The 5th one is requesting to remain and not to pass into final nirvana. And we're asking them to remain, the beings in the field of accumulation, in order to continue to turn the wheel of Dharma. And that's the 6th limb, right? So it says the 5th and 6th usually come together hand in hand. So it says, please remain until the end of cyclic existence and turn the wheel of Dharma for transmigratory beings. And then the last limb is, I dedicate my own and others' virtues to great enlightenment. So altogether, prostration, offering, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, asking not to pass into Nirvana, and requesting to still continue to turn the wheel of Dharma. And the last one is dedication. Now, those are the 7 limbs, right? Now, in the 6th preparatory practice, the 6th one is offering a mandala. But actually, the offering of the mandala would be usually when you make those requests, right? So you're making requests to turn the wheel of Dharma, to not pass into the parinirvana, and then to still continue to turn the wheel of Dharma. So at this point, you would already, or at this point, you would add to that and also making this mandala offering as a token of requesting. So although in the 6th preparatory practice, it's something that comes after the 7 limbs, it's actually something that you can say that you can do it in conjunction with the 5th limb, with the 5th preparatory practice, when you make supplications to turn the wheel of Dharma and not to pass into parinirvana. And then the last one is dedicating. So those are the 7 limbs. We said that the 7 limbs are for purification and for accumulating merit or accumulating the collection. So I made a list of that. I made you work hard in taking notes, but actually I put it in my own notes and I'll put it on the Dropbox. So the 7 limbs of worship: obeisance or homage, offerings, confession, rejoicing, imploring to turn the wheel of Dharma, requesting not to pass into final nirvana, and then dedication. So if you look at this list, right, we have 7 limbs. Let's work out which one of them are for accumulating the collections and which one of them are purifying negativities and obscurations. We can do that just rough division, although it is likely that if you accumulate merit, you also purify negativities, right? They're not things that happen separately. If you accumulate the collections, you also purify negativities. If you purify negativities, you also accumulate the collections. After all, when you purify negativities, if you do it with the 4 opponent powers, in the power of thorough application of the antidote, you would be meditating on emptiness, meditating on bodhicitta, normally they say circumambulation, prostrations, but we do all sorts of meditation, right? Bodhicitta, refuge, meditation on emptiness. In those meditations, you also accumulate the collections, you accumulate merit. So you can say that accumulating and purifying are 2 sides of one coin. Maybe I should give you, you should charge royalties for this.
It's yours, it's yours.
Okay, it's mine. Thank you. I offer it to you. Okay. So, so let's try to work out roughly which of the limbs are accumulating and which one of them is purifying and confessing. So obeisance, paying homage, accumulation or confession, accumulation. All right, offerings, accumulation. Confession, well, that's like a giveaway, isn't it? Confession is for confession. Rejoicing, accumulations. You can say definitely accumulation, but also rejoicing, in some sense, it's also it's an antidote for dislike, miserliness, and so forth, not being unenthused about the virtues of others, jealousy. So, yeah, it's both, although you say overtly it is generating merit, but also it's stopping. Yeah, but also, thanks for marking this, thank you. So, but also obeisance, paying homage, is putting stop to pride, right? It is antidoting pride. So I think that people can also mark, yeah, apparently.
Hang on, so what did you just say? That was really.
That tell us that
With the squiggles.
with obeisance, with paying homage, that also acts as an antidote for pride. And offerings, hi. Hi. That's cool.
I can't write. I just wrote a tic-tac-toe on my page.
All right, so obeisance is also antidoting pride. Then offerings, what does offering antidote? Miserliness, that's correct. Confession is laying down negativities. Rejoicing, we said that it antidotes jealousy. Then we have imploring to turn the wheel of Dharma and requesting not to pass into fun and nirvana. So these 2, I think, also contribute to the accumulations, accumulating the collections. And finally, dedication. Dedication can also work, I think, mainly for the collections, but also, I guess that it also acts to purify some negativities. Anyway, these are the 7 limbs. So what I wanted to do now, I don't know if you guys at home or you guys here have checked all the files on our Dropbox, but I'll show you a really great. Yeah, really, there's only one that explicitly mentions purification or confession. The rest, you can say overtly, are mainly accumulation, but they also do the other stuff. All right. Let's see. Can't find it now, but anyway, the chart that I wanted to show you is, where is it? Just a second. There it is. All right. So I'm wondering if you guys at home and here are familiar with this outline of Shantideva's Guide to Bodhisattva Way of Life. Have you seen that file? All right. So it should be on the Dropbox. If it's not on the Dropbox, I'll put it in the Dropbox myself. So I think that it's helpful to see in a more visual way the structure of the outline and the structure of all the chapters. So chapter number 2 is confessing negativities. It is very useful. That's cool. How do I close this? Okay. So chapter number 2 is titled Confessing Negativities, but actually it is studying the practice of the 7 limbs. So it does that in a way that is slightly different. Rather than starting with paying homage, it starts with making offerings, but it's all right. It's still the 7 limbs, right? So first of all, we have 20.
Isn't it because you've already done homage in first?
No, there's still, and after that, there's still an homage coming after that. Maybe there's a particular reason why Shantideva changed the order. Maybe it's not important. Maybe there will be something in the commentary. We can check it out in later. But anyway, I just wanted to first of all mention, kind of look at all the limbs in chapter 2 and chapter 3. So we have, first of all, making offerings. We've covered a few verses today, right? So first of all, the need to make offering, then the actual making an offering, offering unowned substances, then offering one's body. We started the section of mentally emanated offerings. Did we start that? Not sure. Anyway, this is the making of offerings. Then,
Excuse me.
yeah.
In the discussion group today,
Mm.
there was some confusion about, the Lama Zopa has encouraged us to mentally visualize all the offerings that he makes in all his houses,
Yeah.
In the centers, at Gaya Stupa, when you're flying into an airport, you see all the lights of the houses down there that belong to people and offering them. There seems to be a little bit in contradiction to what Geshe Sultan was saying, because all those offerings belong to somebody that we have been encouraged to offer. So is it the way we got around it? And I'm not quite sure whether it's accurate, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, Judy, is that it's a visualization. Somebody else has that, but it's because we've got such poor, I've got such poor visualization.
Mm-hmm.
I need somebody showing, look, visualize this, and you can have it as your offering.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of visualize it. So I mean, is that how it would work? So you're not really, it does physically belong to somebody, but mind, mental doesn't.
I think that, I don't know, the way that I think about it, we can ask Geshe about it, but the way that I would think about it is, I think that suppose that you go into someone's house and they have this amazing altar, with amazing statues and stuff. As if in your mind you think that, wow, I want to make this offering. I'm actually offering it to the Buddhas. I don't think that there is any fault in that. I think that you would be accumulating merit. So you can ask Geshe about it. I think that kind of, maybe its comment was, no, it wouldn't be, I guess that in my mind, I can make those mental offerings. It wouldn't be right to, go into someone's house and say, oh, you have a beautiful statue. All right, I can take it because I can offer it to Lama Sabra, which yeah. But that's kind of, a simplistic version of that. So maybe we can ask Geshe about it. One more is saying, you're offering the light that is emitted, not the lights themselves, maybe. Anyway, I think that kind of, yeah. I mean, honestly, I think that kind of, if you just be sensible about many of those things, if you making offerings is a great way of accumulating merit. If you're thinking that, if you're just taking something mentally up and think that, I know that it belongs to someone, I'm offering it to someone else, I'm offering to the Buddhas, it's still remaining in the possession of others. I've not taken what was not given to you. I'm just kind of visualizing that I now own it and make offerings of it. I don't think that there's any problem with that.
It's that initial
Yeah.
intention as well. Like,
Yeah.
you see it and
Yeah.
you just offer it. You're not
Yeah.
really thinking about it. Oh, hang on, who does it belong to?
And that's not conflicting with what Yeshua said this morning.
I don't think so, but we can ask him. Now, Chris is saying, are we not just offering the generic image of the offerings? Chris, you're intellectualizing it too much. We are creating generic images in our mind. We are thinking about different things. We're using generic images, but it's all right. We don't need to intellectualize it too much, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just making offerings in our mind. So then, then the second limb is homage, and then the third thing that Shantideva mentions is going for refuge. Now here, I think that refuge would be a branch of paying homage, right? So you pay homage to the three jewels, the basis of their rising of bodhicitta and so forth, prostration to the abbot masters and so forth. You also go for refuge. So I think that going for refuge would be subsumed or included within paying homage to the three jewels. So this too, I think, could be subsumed under the branch of obeisance. Then we have the third limb, confessing negativities by means of completing the four powers. So you've mentioned the four powers. So they're here in chapter number 2, and they're complete, right? So we have a lot of verses from verse 27 through verse 65, right? So almost 40 verses of confession that cover the four powers of the antidote. The four powers of the antidote have to be complete for a full confession or purification to come about. If they're incomplete, your purification of negativity would be very partial. So altogether, in chapter number 2, we have 3 limbs out of the 7. We have the limb of offering, obeisance, and confession. That's chapter number 2. Then in chapter number 3, that we will cover probably in a few days, we have rejoicing in virtue. That's the 4th limb. Requesting to turn the wheel of Dharma, and requesting not to pass into nirvana, and then dedicating virtue. Right? So in that way, you're preparing your mind with accumulation and purification for the mind of enlightenment and the vow. But then Shantideva does some more preparation. He trains in the mind that gives away one's body, material wealth, and roots of virtue, which is, you can say that this is part of a meditation on giving, generosity, which is an excellent way of boosting up your accumulation. So of course you can boost up your accumulation of merit when you meditate on giving away your body possessions of roots of virtue. But also, and we will cover those verses, but also together with that, you can remind yourself of the emptiness of the three spheres, right? Yourself as the giver, the recipients of those gifts, the offering. So we have, first of all, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas over 10 directions. They're empty of inherent existence, but also when you meditate on giving away your body possessions of roots of virtue, if you also give them to sentient beings, other sentient beings, you can also consider them as empty of inherent existence. But also the gift that you give, your body possessions and roots of virtue, are empty of inherent existence, and also giving itself is empty of inherent existence. So in that way, you accumulate, you work on the two collections. Then, all right, so we said that after the 7 limbs, we have training in the mind that gives away body, material, wealth, and roots of virtue as a way of accumulating more merit. And then we have the actual taking of the mind of enlightenment and the Bodhisattva vow in verse 22 and 23 and 24 in chapter number 3. Right, so if you have prepared your mind, then in chapter number 3, we're going to take the vow. And after that would be in chapter number 3, some more concluding actions, rejoicing for accomplishing one's own welfare, the accomplishing of others' welfare, and also causing others to develop joy.
So what you're saying then is that 4, 5, and 6 limbs are in chapter 3.
Yeah. 4. So 4, 5, 6, and 7.
And 7.
Yeah. Those 7 limbs are in chapter number, 4 limbs out of the 7 are found in chapter number 3. Yeah, the first 3 are in chapter 2. The remaining 4 are in chapter 3.
I feel a question there.
Yeah. Any questions about making offerings? You know, there was as Geshe-la was explaining the way of making offerings. I saw, while I was listening to him, that there were a few questions and comments. Hey, Andrew Wood. Hi, Andrew. That's cool. There were. So you've discussed all of them. All right, cool. So there were a few questions that came up on the screen with respect to different things, environmental issues and so forth. I think that kind of you just need to be, I guess, sensible with your way of making offerings. You can ask questions, you can intellectualize it, but at the end of the day, you want to make offerings of the best of the best, and also to do it in a responsible way. Now, although there is that, I think, self-perpetuating myth about Tibetan people being really environmental, or Tibet being kind of a country that is well synced with the environment. When you look at Tibetans living in India and Tibetans living in Tibet, they're just like any other third world community, that chuck garbage into the rivers, use plastics and so forth. So, yeah, you can ask questions about should we be more responsible and so forth. I think that you can ask it to a Tibetan, but you can also be responsible for yourself. If you can do it, why not? Just be sensible. You don't have to intellectualize it too much. The whole idea is here, you want to make offerings in order to create merit, right? If you want to create offering to make merit, then consider that you have, the most important thing is to have faith in your heart, appreciating the qualities of body, speech, and mind, and then to think that, hey, Corinne is next to you. Hi, Corinne. So, and then to think that from the bottom of my heart, I'm making this offering. May I have enough merit for the mind of enlightenment to be born in my mind, and also to take upon myself the Bodhisattva vow. Any questions? So Corinne and Andrew, by the way, they were here for a few years at Chenrezig Institute, and now both of them are studying in India, Buddhism and in Tibetan. I think that now they're in the UK, but anyway, hi. Any questions?
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday. Brain Day Thursday. So His Holiness the Dalai Lama has advised we pay more attention to ecological issues. This also has consequence for sentient beings' welfare. Actually, it's quite nice when you look at the way that the Kagyu is arranged. You know, so for the past, I think, 10, 15 years, when His Holiness the Karmapa has been responsible for the Kagyu, he has put quite a lot of effort, quite a lot of emphasis on environmental issues. It's a topic that is really dear to his heart. So although it is really difficult to be totally environmental in arranging these massive events, you know, where you kind of basically, when you have to buy offering, you buy everything packaged, you know, it's hard to get away from that. So you do your best. You know, you do your best. You live in a certain environment. You do your best. You try to be sensible and work it out. Can you feed soak or food offerings to animals? Some say yes, and some say no. You know, I think that some say that you have to leave it in a high place and in a clean place because you made offering to the tzok. Some say that it's not appropriate to give it to animals, but still some say that actually it's good to give it to animals. So I think that you have a variety of positions. Chukina?
Some would say you should be giving to those who don't appreciate the value of being blessed.
Yeah. Yeah, some say don't give it to those who do not appreciate the value of it being blessed. I think that also this is, it's interesting because this is also, I think, an area where at the end we have to be sensible in a sense that, now suppose that you come here to Chenrezig Institute, you take a bag of offering, then you go home and you spend, you know, you hang out all week long with your friends and relatives or, you know, people at work and so forth. If you don't have anything to do with the things in your tzok, are you going to chuck it to the garbage? Are you going to give it away to someone? I think that rather than being too intellectual about it, just be sensible, you know, just be sensible. It's easy. You know, if you think about common sense, if you're not being disrespectful, use your common sense and it will work out. Has anyone received any transcription this week? Yes. I think that maybe we'll ask Kathy, and maybe Kathy can answer. All right, so if there are no other questions, we will leave it here for now. So you have, so I'll put the screen, sorry, the prayer on the screen, not the screen on the prayer. Okay. One page back. Okay, thank you. Nadi Nyododa Lama Sangye Dugyane Doa Chikyama Lupa De Salagopa Sho Chancho Sancho Rinpoche Make Pana Kegyuchi Kepa Nyampa Me Paya Gone Gondo Pewa Sho Awe Kowe Shinkamdi Pendande Wa Malu Juene Chenre Siwan Tenzing Yatsoi Pesite Padu Tengyuchi Janshin Jangun Gyawe Tenzin Kyompe We Kunso Dopo Tse Chosun Kowe Le Mun Tudro Pada Sodu Je Kundu Shate Shu. Thank you. By the way, when I saw these questions about about offerings, and also in the discussion, kind of like at some point I visualized myself channeling Rubina. What do you think? Think about it. What do you think? Yeah. All right.
Hi, Tanya.
Hi. Thank you.
Hey.
Hi there.
Hey, Andrew and Corinne, are you here? I want to see your faces. All right.
Yakila, it's a bit early for faces.
Are you still in bed? Are you listening to teaching for bed?
Right. We are. It's a bit early.
All right. Are you in the UK
It's
now?
good to see you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, for the virus, we're okay.
So you're spreading the virus in the UK?
Uh-huh.
Doing our bit.
Doing your bit. All right.
There's no class in India, so
Yeah, I don't know how long it's going to be till class starts in India. Might be a while, so it's good to be in the UK for a bit.
Yeah. Well,
Not too long, hopefully.
yeah.
Have a good day.
People say have a good day here.
Could be night.
So what
Thank
time is it in the
take
UK?
care.
It's just 7 now. 7 in
It's
the
7.
morning.
Oh, so you're still in bed. All right. I get it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So on that positive note, I'm going to end this session for now, and we're going to catch up.
Take care.
Take care.
Thank you, Reverend Carson.
Bye. Thank you, Avis and Marianne. Ross.
Have they seen you?
Yes, I have.
Do you want to?
Yeah, yeah.
say hello to them?
Come.
Do you want to see Venerable Yeshi?
Avis and Marianne. Wait a
Avis
second,
and
wait a
Marianne,
second.
do you want to see Venerable Yeshi?
Drums, please.
Oh my God.
Da, 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 da.
Avis is squealing.
Congratulations,
Hello.
Reverend Yeshi Wamo. Are you Reverend Yeshi Wamo?
Yeah, Yeshawamo.
Yes, you are.
Congratulations. 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 You look beautiful. You look great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, bye-bye.